Hey, Dominic, man, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to my class on this Monday morning in November. You were a Ranken student years ago, and I haven't really had a chance to connect with you. So first off, I'm really excited to kind of hear what you've been up to and how you've been doing. And yeah, so you're a Ranken graduate, but I can introduce you, but I think you could do a better job. So I'll give you the floor, and if you would just mind general introduction, who are you? Where are you from?
Sure. My name is Dominic Blanks. Obviously, I graduated from Rankin in 2015. I'm from right here around the St. Louis area. When I started at Rankin, I was actually in East St. Louis, and now I live in Collegeville.
Okay, so you're an East St. Louis graduate?
No, I'm not an East St. Louis graduate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was. Well, it was Cahokia, Illinois, but I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I just call it the East St. Louis area.
Nice. I didn't know, so did you graduate high school and roll right into Rankin, or did you have some time in between?
I graduated from high school, and I actually initially started at Harrisville State University, right over in St. Louis as well. But I just kind of wanted to fast track it. I was so driven to just jump right into the field. I heard, I believe it was a radio ad for Ranken Technical College on the radio, and I switched over, and I think it was the best. I think it was the best thing that I actually did. You miss out on the bachelor's degree, but I mean, I don't feel like I've missed a step.
That's cool. So you came here in 13, graduated in 15, and did you step right into the industry, or how'd that transition go?
Well, the transition was actually pretty smooth. I studied for a few months more. That was just me. I actually interviewed while I was studying. I'll be honest. I think I landed one, but it was a contract and it fell through. Not sure how that happened. But the next one I got, and that was at Unisys, and that was my first job. So I'll say after maybe 3 or 4 months, I was in the field.
Nice. And you were in the field, and so let's take a step back. Where are you at today?
Well, today I'm at National General Insurance Company. I'm a UI developer there, so I work on user interface.
Okay. And so you were telling me like some of the languages you work with.
Yeah, HTML, JavaScript, C Sharp. That's pretty much the bulk of what I touch on the daily.
Okay. And so, you graduated in 15, and here we are 7 years later. Have you touched other languages in your 7 years, or has that been the bulk of what you do?
That's been the bulk of what I do. But in my spare time, if we're talking about in my spare time, I've been actually working on Python because I'd like to go from using C Sharp and being obviously a developer engineer using C Sharp to using Python and being a Python developer.
Nice. What's your job title?
Software engineer, senior consultant.
Software engineer, senior.
Yep.
That's a high level job title. So congratulations. That seems like you've worked your way up the ladder a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, I have, and there's still working to do because the senior consultant role, there are levels to it as well. So you can go from senior consultant 1, 2, 3, and from there it's forget what comes after that, but yeah.
Yeah. Was your first job title? You think back to it, was it just like entry level programmer, or do you remember what it was?
I was just a junior dev.
Junior dev.
Yep.
So from junior dev up to senior software engineer consultant.
Yep, I went from junior dev, my next two roles after mid-level. That's what they were called, mid-level software engineer, and I'm here at NGIC.
So why did you get into this industry? Why did you choose development?
I chose development because in my heart, I had already kind of saw the wave that was coming with technology, and it's used on cars, obviously. I mean, you see it everywhere. So technology is the future, and I just knew I wanted to be a part of the future, making a difference in some capacity.
Okay, yeah. That's what I always tell, people that'll listen to me. It's like they were saying technology is the future 20 years ago when I got into it, and that's what they're still saying today. And like some of the best decisions I've ever made was to get into this industry. Sounds like you're just the same.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not even close to, I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So throughout the years, do you have any like fun or unique projects that you've worked on for the companies that you've worked for? Or, I mean, are they all just kind of straight business all the time, or anything unique or fun?
I'll be honest, more like most of them are pretty much business.
Yeah.
Strict business. I'd say probably right now, the project that I'm working on is probably the best project that I've come across. It's just a rebrand because a little backstory, I guess, that I probably should have given earlier. National General Insurance Company was recently acquired by Allstate, so it's actually an Allstate company. And so the project that I'm working on right now is we are rebranding the National General Insurance site as National General Insurance and Allstate Company, which means it's pretty much going to have the theme, colors, logo of like the Allstate company site.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So, what advice? I mean, we talked about like you kind of started at that entry level and you've worked your way up to senior, kind of worked your way up the ladder. What have you done in your career that enabled that success?
Just networking while you're on the jobs. Obviously, your team, your coworkers, they are there not only to support you working on these tasks, but also for you to get to know these guys and these gals, and figure out what their backgrounds are. So working closely with the team on the job, outside the job, also just being proactive on your own. There are a ton of resources out there that I like to use. Code Academy, Pluralsight, Free Code Camp. So I think that all of those things alone, just having this stuff as a hobby is kind of what's gotten me where I am now.
Okay, very nice, very nice. So, it looks like you're working from home. Is that right?
Yeah. So with the company, we had a office here in St. Louis actually, but around the time of the pandemic, they chose to just go ahead and get rid of it. And we've been working remote since 2020, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can speak from just my past of many students come in and they say, that's what we want to do. I want to work from home. How do I work from home? So what would be your advice? How, if a student were to ask you that question, hey, I want to work from home, how do I get that kind of job?
Work ethic.
Yeah.
Good work. Showing up on time, showing that you can do the job while you're there, gaining the trust of those around you so that, there are companies out here that will allow for a hybrid kind of workplace where you can work from home and you can be in the office. But obviously, that's going to take trust. We need to know that you do a good enough job while you're here. We need to know that, you're kind of, not that you're chained to your seat or anything, but just that you'll be honest and get work done. And if we can trust that, then, you can work from home.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It's a really great answer. It's trust. It's built on trust. Companies will let you work from home if they trust you.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a great answer. So, you talked about what it took to kind of scale up the corporate ladder. But let me ask a little bit different but similar question. You transitioned from student into the industry. What did it take to have a successful transition from student into employee?
From student into employee, I'd say training your mind. It's a mindset thing. Not scrapping everything that you learned in school, but understanding that school was essentially the playground for you to learn, make mistakes. Not that you won't make mistakes on the job, but you're in the workplace now, so a lot of things are going to be different. You don't expect that you'll be able to get someone's time. You won't be able to raise your hand and get the teacher's help. Don't expect that you'll be able to get the help of the student next to you. Be prepared to step up and do things on your own. Be prepared to make mistakes and own them. Be prepared to just, really learn on the job, because that's what's going to start happening. It's not expected that you'll be a know-it-all when you come in. We understand all you have is the knowledge from the institution that you went to or that you trained yourself on. So it's really just those soft skills of being able to communicate and really being accountable for your work.
Man, you are giving some wise answers. You've been in the industry 7 years, but you're speaking some wisdom here. I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. What kind of salary expectations should someone have entering the workforce in 2022? Like what kind of, what expectations? So here's the question, like pretend I'm a student. Mr. Blanks, should I, I want to make 90K. I want to make 100K. I want to just make, as much money as possible. How can I start at that number, or what should I expect?
I'll say honestly, it is possible for you to start at that number. It is possible, but it will be up to the company, and it's up to the languages that you know. If you know a language that, let's say it's in high demand, maybe you could come into, with just general junior knowledge and they hire you. But those are one-offs. So I'd say just a ballpark range of coming in knowing like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, C#. Probably expect about 60 to 65 starting off. At the lowest, maybe probably between 45 and 50.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if 45 is realistic now, just because companies are looking for people who know this stuff, and they're willing to hire you. They are willing to pay you what you want. It's about the technologies that you know, and it's kind of about your soft skills. It's also about what you can show. You have a project that you've been working on. Can you walk us through and explain it? Can you explain why what approach you took to this stuff? Those type of things. That would be my answer. Ballpark range. Come in headstrong, confident, and look for about 60 to 65.
Okay. Yeah. And so you answered it, it's a good answer too. I think you can make some of these higher salaries, but those are more like diamond in the rough. That's less common, but there's some lower salaries that are a little bit more common. And I want to ask a question based on what you said. Demonstrating a project. What do you mean by that? What if you could expand on that?
So by demonstrating a project, I mean, let's say obviously you all sit in there and there are those case studies, I believe, at like the end of the book for you to, like an exercise. Even something as small as that. Working on that in your spare time to think, how can I extend this? What more can I do with this? Having a GitHub or a portfolio, posting it there. Let's say a recruiter reaches out. You have work that you can show. You have something that you can present to this company like, hey, here's something I've been working on, and here's my thought process. I'll walk you through why I wanted to create this, what the intended purpose for creating this was, and kind of I don't want to be too technical here, but I guess really I'll just say the thought process of working through some of those things on the project.
So, do we have like portfolios when you were a student?
Yeah, you actually had us create portfolios, yes.
And putting demonstrations of your work on that portfolio was useful for you, or is a good tip? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was. I think that it was definitely useful for me. Having an actual site up, it gets you a bit of exposure. And obviously in today's world, I mean, where social media kind of is, the king, you can have it on your Twitter, your Instagram. I mean, even sharing, out your work on Facebook to show what you're doing. If someone sees it, whether it's another dev or a recruiter, that's just more exposure for you. So definitely. And also, like I said, I mean, if you're applying for companies, then you have a portfolio to show.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple things there about having a GitHub, having a code repository, and a Facebook. So I would say, that's probably an under-leveraged thing of a lot of students is just even reaching out on their Facebook and saying, hey, I'm a junior developer building websites, can I build a website for you? That kind of thing. Yeah, that's a good tip. So, you're a young guy and you've had a 7-year, career. Do you see yourself is this your lifelong career? Do you see yourself doing something different at some point?
I think this is definitely a lifelong career for me. I'd like to just move up the ranks and into different roles. I'm still learning. 7 years in, and I can tell you that I'm still learning. There's still a lot that, that I can know. But that will always hold true. That's the landscape of, it's just the landscape.
Yeah.
It's the nature of this field.
What do you enjoy about it?
That it's ever changing.
Yeah.
There's always new features to the programming language. There's always probably something new to help developers do their work more efficiently, quicker, and easier. So
yeah. Okay, cool. So the class is actually winding down here. I got you at the end of class, so we'll kind of wrap it up here. But before we wrap it up, what questions do you guys have for Dominic? Yeah, a couple questions up front.
What made you decide to get into Python development?
Why Python? Why'd you choose Python?
Because the larger companies out there, such as like the Facebooks, Meta now, I guess that's what they call it. Just those larger companies, Amazon, I believe, they're using Python. I know this because those places have kind of contacted me and, like on LinkedIn or something, whether it's a recruiter from there or direct. And those are the kind of, that's the technology stack that they're using, Python. And
when you get that job at either the Facebook or the Meta or Instagram, when you get one of those big social media jobs, you got to let me know. That'll be a day to kind of celebrate there. That's awesome.
What would you say the difference in skill level between junior, mid, and senior programmers in the workplace is?
Good question. So I'll repeat it. So how would you describe the difference between junior, mid, and senior developers? Like, what's the technical skill difference?
Technical skill difference, it's a blurred line. I'll be honest, it's a blurred line. There are some junior devs where it's like you're junior just because your time in the workforce may not add up. Maybe you don't have that 1 to 2, 3 years experience or whatever that's necessary, but you have all the knowledge in the world. So I'd say that's probably the best answer to go with on that. I mean, it may not be what you want to hear, but that's just the truth. I mean, you could come across a mid-level developer who is borderline junior, but they've worked a few places, kind of can demonstrate at a mid-level, kind of can demonstrate at, I guess, a mid-level practice, and that's really it. Good
question, good answer. Other questions? Yes. Would you say that you're a graphic designer or just a developer?
I would not call myself a graphic designer. Obviously the role does entail a bit of graphic design from time to time, but typically, and this has been in all of my roles, typically there's probably another team or an individual that does like the graphic design and would provide me the mop.
Yeah.
And I actually develop.
So Do you see that skill set intersecting a lot in the industry where people are both designers and developers, or it's pretty separated?
It's pretty separated. Now, at some of those smaller companies, it may not be.
Yeah.
You can definitely be asked to be the designer and the developer.
So to ask the question directly that was asked, is it a more valuable skill set to be both?
Yes. If you want that higher, you want to be able to design
Yeah.
and develop. I mean, you could even go into business for yourself. Really, there are freelance opportunities out there. So
There's definitely, you cracked a smile on a couple of students' face that have that skill set, so that's cool. Other questions? Again, on behalf of my students, man, thank you so much for taking the time and answering some questions about the industry. And hey, man, I'm really happy for you. Congratulations on your success.
I hope that this was helpful and that I didn't get too technical.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and hit stop.